What is a successful sales call? And yeah, maybe I should have put on a suit and tie for this, but you know what? Let's just be casual in terms of that. Look, I'll give you an example. And a lot of people, when they look at selling, they look at talking to the customer, talking to the client, prospective client, and telling them what problems they can solve with their technology or whatever they're selling. The trouble is, no one ever asks the client, well, what is your problem? What is the most concern? What keeps you up at night? I mean, it may seem basic, but believe it or not, everyone's spending time selling features, functions, benefits, how competitive they are, all the great reviews they've had, the Gartners, the McKinseys, etc. But the reality is, you have to be able to communicate and understand what matters to the client most. Let me give you an example of this because it taught me a lot. 25 or so years ago, Deloitte Touche, now they're just Deloitte, but Deloitte Touche in Canada was looking to outsource their IT support in terms of selling computers, responding to needs of clients, call center, etc. That's right. Deloitte used to actually have its own computer group that would sell computers, would support the computers. I mean, it seemed like it was a great idea. However, they looked at it and said, it is costing us too much in cycles and times. We're going to outsource this. So I did a cold call back then. We actually used telephones. And I got to the head of the project, who was in charge of searching out potential partners to outsource. And they had talked with IBM, they talked with Toshiba, they talked with a number of big companies. And when I called, this gentleman said, look, you know, you're at the 11th hour here. We don't even know who you are. You're at the 11th hour. We've got a board meeting coming up next week where a lot of directors from across the country are going to be flying in. So I'm not sure there's anything we can do with you. I said, look, give me 30 minutes of your time. We're not far away, downtown Toronto. We're not far away. You know, what can it hurt? You know, I've been doing this for a while. So the individual agreed, gentleman agreed, and I met with him. And in a 30-minute meeting, which was supposed to be a 30-minute meeting, turned into a 3.5, 4-hour collaboration session. That's right. I didn't go in there saying how I could solve their problem. I didn't go in there telling them how great my organization was. I went there and said, gee, I've got a few questions to ask about this. What about the complexity of doing the transition? How do you plan to handle the transition over? How do you plan to still maintain control of the client relationship once you do hand it over? There's a whole series of things. And he thought, these are great points. Let me write them down. And after 3.5 hours, he turned to me and he said, you know, I think you've just structured the perfect plan for us, the perfect presentation. I just helped you write your successful presentation, he said. And we sort of chuckled. And I said, well, let's see. I think we're on to something here with the plan. Can I present in front of your board next week? And he said, sure, absolutely. So remember, I'm a dark horse, the smallest company out of the group. I mean, I'm not Big Blue or anyone else. And so they at least put me last on the agenda. Now, just so you know, some people were flying in from the West Coast, from the East Coast, different time zones. You know, it's like you're being the last act. And the last person talking after they've heard all these illustrious presentations, had a good lunch. And so you're thinking, well, is anybody really going to pay attention? And yes, one person from Vancouver started to nod off. But here's the deal. I stood in front of them with the same passion and interest that I'm sharing with you today, and that drove me to meet with the organizer or the head of the project. I explained to him what we would do and why we would do it and how we would do it. And then I left. And I thought, well, listen, however it turns out, I can look myself in the mirror and know I did a good presentation. A few days go by, and then a week, and I get a call from the organizer. He said, well, guess what? I said, what? He said, they believed you. They loved your sincerity. You were the first one to come into the organization and tell us not what's best for us, but to ask us how we can achieve what's best for us. So unanimously, you have been selected. Within 48 hours, I had Toshiba and some of the big players, and they said, we have to meet you. We've never heard of you. Who are you? How did you come in? Nobody saw you coming in at this. Well, my point is that when you're selling, don't sell yourself. Don't sell your company. Don't sell a brand. Don't sell features, functions, and benefits. Sell listening. Sell research and understanding. Sell asking questions. And it's surprising how many organizations selling don't take the time to do that. Don't take the time to build a rapport. Don't take the time to drill down into the understanding. And it doesn't matter what brand you are. It doesn't matter how big of a company you are. Again, we're long gone past the days of no one ever got fired for buying IBM. We're now at a stage of what is the expertise and experience behind the logo? What is the experience and expertise behind the service or product? That's what people are looking for. Take the time to develop that rapport and stop talking about yourself. Stop posting about yourself and start talking about what is important to other people and engage them in the conversation. So that's it. Now, I've got another example coming up for the Department of National Defense and a few other cases, but I wanted to share this today because, again, it weighs very much on my mind. The fact is that selling is not about you, but it's about learning about the other person. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.